Thank you for bringing water and for participating in the ritual this morning. It's nice to have a little bit of physical ritual in our lives. More and more of our lives seem to exist on screens rather than in real physical time and space. We have these lovely television monitors that post most of our lyrics. Most of us don't even use printed hymnals anymore unless we read music. In the back of our hymnals, some of you have seen them around, is a collection of readings and poems and meditations. Since I grew up as a Unitarian Universalist, I've held one of those hymnals in my hands for a very, very long time. And for most of that time, my favorite reading in our hymnal was the quintessential young man individualist message, To Live Deliberately by Henry David Thoreau. I'll cut it a little short here, but he says, "Why should we live in such a hurry and waste of life? We're determined to be starved before we are hungry. I wish to live deliberately, to front all the essential facts of life. I wish to learn what life has to teach and not, when I come to die, discover that I have not lived. I want to cut a broad swath, to drive life into a corner and reduce it to its lowest terms. If it proves to be mean, then to get the whole and genuine meanness of it and publish its meanness to the world. Or if it is sublime, to know it by experience and to be able to give a true account of it." Those words from Thoreau capture a sense of vitality and excitement about our world that I deeply appreciate. They talk about a sense of adventure. As the quintessential transcendentalist, Thoreau was channeling our first source of our tradition, direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. That's the foundation of our faith, the capacity for an individual on their own terms to connect personally with the sacred. More and more, though, we're learning that there are limits to our individualism. At one level, individuals and isolation in modern American culture is getting to an unhealthy level. The Surgeon General of the United States said a few years ago that isolation and loneliness are an epidemic as damaging to our health as smoking and obesity. That's really jarring. More to the point for today's conversation, individualism, just going it alone, provides a pretty limited picture of our world. In addition to directly experiencing the sacred for ourselves, our faith calls us to recognize the limits of our own capacity to know the world around us. My capacity to see all that is beautiful, my ability to see what is real on my own is limited. Our lives are short. And in this great, big, incredibly diverse planet, we experience only a tiny sliver of what is possible. Thank God we have friends to call on and to learn from. And thank goodness we have traditions from the past to hand down their insights of ancestors to make sense of this big, wild life. The work of knowing and perceiving it all is just too big for one person alone. Mr. Thoreau, you're going to need some help with that project of yours. If we seek to know the world, if we seek to know much of anything, we cannot do it all on our own. Balancing that sense of individual connection to the sacred in our tradition we typically call on science. not science as a collection of facts, but science as a process. If you look around the internet, you can find individuals with data to prove just about anything that they can think of. There are climate change deniers and probably even flat earthers that call themselves scientists. That is not the kind of science that we call upon. Rather, we call on a process of sharing information with peers, critiquing one another's work, seeking together to find a preponderance of evidence through discourse. When we invoke science in this humanist tradition, it's to highlight our collective effort for truth-seeking. Whether it's in understanding the origins of the universe or coming to terms with the suffering and the meaning of life, we need one another's diverse experiences and perspectives. This is one of the reasons in our worship services we give voice to a variety of experiences. We have a team of 8 worship associates intentionally of different ages, genders, races, theologies, sexual orientations, who start each service with a personal reflection. And our worship committee tries hard to bring speakers who have something unique to share. A single voice from the pulpit just doesn't cut it in Unitarian Universalist tradition. We share this responsibility for worship. I loved our story from earlier today, and it seemed to capture some of you as well. Our story about the beautiful tiger who needs the support of a strong and I'll say equally beautiful lion to let her know that she can bust free from that cage. Sometimes in this story, we play the role of the tiger, mistaking ourselves as weak or inadequate. We all know that feeling, and trust me, everyone in this room knows the feeling of self-doubt and inadequacy, even though they may look on the outside as a strong and beautiful tiger. Today, I hope we also remember our role as the lion. An honest word of encouragement can dramatically impact someone else's perception of the world. Our encouragement can help free another person from the cages of their own mind. In a world that's so quick to judge, to ridicule, to reduce human worth to the size of a wallet or the perfection of a selfie, we are here to remind one another of the strength, the wisdom, and beauty in each person. We are each stronger and wiser than we typically recognize. It is our friends, our community, who inspire us to break free. And I have to admit, this is not my strong suit. I am a pretty achievement-oriented person. I expect a lot out of myself, and I expect a lot out of other people too. Sometimes it's too much. I realize, rather than challenging others to rise to a standard, I would do better sometimes to remind people what they are capable of. Of course you can break free from that cage. You are a strong, beautiful, magnificent tiger. I will do my best to manifest more encouraging lion energy if you will join me in that effort. Wrapping up this message, I want to lift up what a blessing it is to be part of this community. We have so much to learn from one another, and I hope that you're taking advantage of the collective wisdom in this room. Sharing parenting tips, supporting one another through life transitions, making career steps. I just heard someone get career references 2 days ago on a Zoom call from this congregation. Learning how to celebrate and to grieve and to grow through life. All of these resources are among us when and if we reach out. So thank you for bringing your water that represents your journeys. Even more, thank you for bringing your respective experience to share with one another. It seems somehow fitting to end this homily with the unison affirmation that we say every Sunday, words that perhaps too often repeated might have lost a little bit of their meaning. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. Amen.